صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. A second salawat for the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. For the hastening of the reappearance of the Imam of our time, a third salawat in the loudest of your voices. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ثم أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we begin, if I can kindly request for the brothers to move forward, because the sisters don't have very much space back there. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Please recite a second salawat. A third salawat in the loudest of your voices. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the tawfiq to continue our discussion on the essence of the Quran. So far, we've spoken in detail about the concept of tanzeel, that the Holy Quran experienced a process of simplification to become suitable for us to understand it and access it in this lower world known as Alam al-Dunya. We also mentioned that when the Quran goes through this process of tanzeel from Lawh al-Mahfuz, from the preserved tablet, to this world, it doesn't depart Lawh al-Mahfuz. And we gave analogies to explain that. We also mentioned that the Quran, according to the Ahlul Bayt, is a living book. It's not a book that was revealed 14 centuries ago and we just happen to be able to benefit from it today. Allah is speaking to you and I directly. We are not a secondary audience. That in the same way the 7th century Arabs were primary addressees of the Quran, you and I in 2019, we are being addressed directly by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. So it is a living book in every generation. Furthermore, you find that we have traditions from the Ahlul Bayt that describe the Quran as being a tajalli of Allah. That the Quran is not just a book. You know, sometimes because it looks like a book, we assume that it's just like every other book. And we gave the example of Jibreel appearing to Maryam as a human being when she was in her mihrab. Now, just because Jibreel looks human, it doesn't mean that he is human. He retains his angelic essence. So you cannot look at Jibreel in the mihrab of Maryam and say, okay, he's just like every other human being because he looks human. There's a big difference. Similarly, the Quran, it has a binding, it has 2 covers, it has pages, it's comprised of words. It looks like every other book, but it's divine in its essence. It's very different. And that's why you find the Quran in some instances, in the words of Ahlul Bayt, this book is described as a manifestation of God. Amirul Mu'mineen, salawatullahi alayhi. Look at what Ali ibn Abi Talib says about the Quran. He says, فَتَجَلَّى لَهُمْ سُبْحَانُهُ فِي كِتَابِهِ. That Allah, that He has manifested Himself to them through this book. The word that the Imam uses is a heavy word. He says that the Quran is a tajalli. It is a manifestation of God. A manifestation of God. Now, the Imam says it is a manifestation of God min غَيْرِ أَن يَكُونُوا رَأَوْا. It is a manifestation of God without people having seen God with their eyes. Now, there's an interesting conversation. There's a hadith where one of the students, one of the premier students of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he asks Imam al-Sadiq an interesting question. Zurara ibn A'yan, one of the great students of the Imam. He says to the Imam, he asks the Imam, Ya ibn Rasulillah, ma tilka al-ghashyatu allati kanat tusibu Rasulallah. So he asks the Imam that, Ya ibn Rasulillah, why is it that the Prophet sometimes would faint when wahi would come to him? You know, the Prophet, depending on the way in which Allah would reveal to him, and we'll speak about this in more detail tomorrow, there are three ways in which wahi is delivered to prophets. Sometimes the weight of the revelation is so heavy that the Prophet actually faints. It's so overwhelming for him. So Zurara is asking that, why is this the case? Why does that happen? And the Imam says, so we mentioned, so keep in mind what Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen described, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala manifested Himself through the Quran. فَتَجَلَّى لَهُمْ سُبْحَانُهُ فِي كِتَابِهِ. That's what the Imam says. Now we'll look at what Imam al-Sadiq says. Why does the Prophet faint when wahi comes to him sometimes? ذَلِكَ إِذَا تَجَلَّى اللَّهُ لَهُ مِنْ غَيْرِ أَن يَكُونَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ أَحَدٍ. The Prophet is overwhelmed. He faints when Allah manifests Himself to the Prophet without an intermediary, when Jibreel is not involved. So you see that Jibreel in many cases acts as a buffer to lessen that experience for the Prophet. So Imam al-Sadiq says that when that tajalli, when God manifests Himself, because the Quran is a manifestation of God, when that manifestation of God is direct, without the intermediary of a hijab, as the Quran mentions, or a messenger, like an angel, it becomes very overwhelming. So what happens to the Prophet when he experienced this direct tajalli, this direct manifestation? What happens? He faints, right? Now, so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam faints because of the gravity of that experience. The Prophet faints because of that tajalli. Now, I want to shift your attention now, just so you understand the greatness of the Prophet. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in many verses in the Quran, He speaks to us about Musa. Musa is the most mentioned prophet in the Quran. And the most mentioned community in the Quran is the community of Bani Israel. That's not a coincidence. There's a lot for us as a Muslim community to learn from Bani Israel. So, just to summarize, we know that Musa alayhi salam, after all of the miracles and after his intervention, Bani Israel and Musa, they eventually escape Fir'aun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings down the most powerful civilization of the time, and they drowned in the Red Sea. Bani Israel, they witnessed great miracles. They witnessed the transformation of the staff into a serpent and many other miracles. And they witnessed the miracle of the splitting of the Red Sea. It's amazing that when they get to the other side, do you know what they say to Musa? So they finally, they're safe now. They've crossed the Red Sea. They're now able to start a new life, a new chapter for the community. As they're walking, they pass by a village. They pass by a village, and that village had idols. And this was a community that was worshiping idols. Do you know what they said to Musa? This is right after they crossed the Red Sea. They say to Musa, اجعل لنا إلها كما لهم آلهة. They say, oh Musa, can you make an idol for us? Just like they have all of these idols. They have a lot of idols. We'll be satisfied with just one. We just want one idol. It's very strange that after all of these miracles, there is this insistence that I have to touch God. I have to see Him. Right? And there are many, sometimes we think this is a very simplistic way of thinking. But even renowned atheists today, like Richard Dawkins, if you really boil down their problem, they believe in things that can be tested using the instruments of science. That if it's not within the world of empirical observation, it doesn't exist. That's basically what Bani Israel was arguing, that this God that is manifesting all of these miracles, we want to see Him. Isn't it about time that He reveals Himself to us? We want something tangible. اجعل لنا إلها كما لهم آلهة. Now, Allah in Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah number 2, verse 55. And as I said, you have my permission to use your phones and pull out the Quran app and follow along. Surah number 2, verse 55. It's not that they asked Him once. They kept on asking Him to see God. What do they say? وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى. And when they said, Ya Musa, now pay attention. He's a prophet. He's a Rasul. Don't you notice that Bani Israel, they never say, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Nabi Allah. They're always calling him Musa. Just like he's like the next door neighbor, Musa. They have no respect for their prophet. And this is a lesson for Muslims. Why is Allah highlighting how disrespectful Bani Israel was to the prophet? Perhaps He's foreshadowing the insolence and the disrespect that Muslims would show to their own prophet. Ya Musa, lan nu'min lak. Look at the audacity. We will never believe in you. Hatta nara Allah jahratan. Until we see God manifestly. We see Him with our eyes. They want to see God with their eyes. Now, go to Surah Al-A'raf, Surah 7, verse 143. So here's a question. They're asking a question. They want to see God. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of teachers. Allah doesn't say that, tell them, O Musa, that it's impossible and end of story. Allah now is going to demonstrate to them why you can never see God. Allah doesn't just say, no, it's a stupid question, you can't see God. What does Allah do? وَلَمَّا جَاءَ مُوسَى. Now listen to this. There's so many lessons within the Quran. Now Musa, Allah commands Musa to come to this meeting place so he can receive wahi, so he can receive revelation, so he can receive Tawrat. Musa alayhi salam, they say that Bani Israel was 700,000. It's a huge community. Musa chooses from among the 700,000, 70. وَاخْتَارَ مُوسَى قَوْمَهُ 70 رَجُلًا لِمِيقَاتِنَا. He chooses 70 members of Bani Israel that he believes are the most righteous to be with him when wahi comes down. So Musa, he is choosing who he thinks is the best from what he sees. وَلَمَّا جَاءَ مُوسَى لِمِيقَاتِنَا وَكَلَّمَهُ رَبُّهُ. Those same 70 were the ones who were pressuring Musa that they want to see God. If Musa is unable to distinguish someone who has Iman and someone who doesn't have Iman, you think people in Saqifa can choose who has Iman and who doesn't? If Kalimullah does not know what is in the hearts of people, the people in Saqifa know what's in the hearts of people? This shows you that only Allah can choose those who represent His faith. So Musa alayhi salam, because they pressure him, he asks Allah on their behalf. Musa knows that Allah cannot be seen with the physical eye. So in verse 143, surah number 7, what does he say? قَالَ رَبِّ أَرِنِي أَنظُرْ إِلَيْكَ. Oh Allah, let me see you. He's speaking on behalf of Bani Israel, because if he were to tell them, you guys ask Allah, they'll say, no, He's not going to answer our dua. But if you ask Him, He might show Himself. So Musa says, okay, I'll ask just to show you that even if I ask, it's not possible. أَرِنِي أَنظُرْ إِلَيْكَ. Let me see you. What does Allah say? قَالَ لَن تَرَانِي. You will never see me. And then Allah gives a demonstration. وَلَكِنْ انظر إلى الجبل فإن استقر مكانه فسوف تراني. But look, you can never see me. And the reason why you can never see me is because I'm going to give you an experiment. Look at the mountain. They were standing close to a mountain. Look at the mountain. If it remains in its place, then you can see me. Then you'll be able to see me. فَلَمَّا تَجَلَّى رَبُّهُ لِلْجَبَلِ. Keep in mind that hadith that we began with from Amir al-Mu'mineen, that the Quran فَتَجَلَّى لَهُمْ سُبْحَانُهُ فِي كِتَابِهِ. That the Quran is a tajalli. It's a manifestation of God. So Allah, what does He say? Allah says, فَتَجَلَّى رَبُّهُ لِلْجَبَلِ. Allah manifested Himself. Manifested Himself. You know, a manifestation is different from a person revealing himself. You know, for example, if you want to manifest yourself, you know, someone can smell your cologne, for example. The smell of your cologne is a manifestation. It's a sign of your existence. If you write a book, that is what? That is a manifestation of your existence. It's a sign of your existence. فَتَجَلَّى رَبُّهُ لِلْجَبَلِ. Allah manifested Himself to who? To Musa or to the mountain? To the mountain. What happened to the mountain? فَجَعَلَهُ دَكَّا وَخَرَّ مُوسَى صَعِقًا. That mountain broke up into pieces. It broke up into pieces. Now if a mountain, when you think of a mountain, it's probably the most powerful thing that you can think of on earth. Mountains, sign of strength. If a mountain cannot withstand a manifestation, one manifestation of God, do you think that flesh and bone, you think you, O Musa, you can handle it? Your soul doesn't have the capacity to handle that type of manifestation. And Musa faints. Musa fainted because Allah manifested Himself to the mountain, not to Musa. Musa fainted. Now, so what happened to the mountain? It broke up into pieces. جَعَلَهُ دَكَّةً. Dakka means it broke up into pieces. If you go to Surah Al-Hashr, Surah 59, verse 21, what does Allah say? لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن. This Quran is a tajalli of Allah. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل. Same object. لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. If the Quran was sent down, if the mountain was to receive the Quran, which is a tajalli of Allah, which is a manifestation of Allah, what would happen to the mountain? Something different happens to the mountain. With Musa, that mountain, what happened to it? It broke up into pieces, into chunks. With the Quran, what does Allah say? لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. It would have became dust. What's more powerful? A manifestation that breaks the mountain into pieces, or a manifestation that makes the mountain into dust? That means what? That the manifestation to the mountain was less powerful than the manifestation of the Quran. Meaning the Quran is a stronger manifestation than what Musa experienced. And what happened to Musa? He fainted. If it was directed to Musa, he would have been destroyed. His soul wouldn't have been able to handle it. Now, if you go back to the hadith of Imam As-Sadiq, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. When Zurara asks Imam As-Sadiq, why does the Prophet faint? ذَلِكَ إِذَا تَجَلَّ اللَّهُ لَهُ. With the Prophet, he is receiving that tajalli. When that manifestation was directed at the mountain, it became pieces. And Musa fainted when he saw it manifest to the mountain. When the Quran is manifested directly to the mountain, it becomes dust. It obliterates it. When it manifests itself to the heart of the Prophet without Jibreel, the Prophet faints. But does he survive? He survives. Which means the soul of the Holy Prophet ﷺ is the strongest thing in Alamul Wujud. It's the strongest thing in existence. And that's why we know that the first thing that Allah Azza wa Jal created was the nur of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa. And that's why we have narrations that say, and from that light was divided into two. The light of Muhammad and the light of Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullah. This is the power of the human soul, brothers and sisters. You know, sometimes we forget how much potential we have. Now, we don't have that type of potential. But the human being has so much more potential than we think. Amirul Mu'min, what does he say? تزعم أنك جرم صغير وفيك انطوى العالم الأكبر. You presume that you're a small entity, that you're nothing. But within you is enfolded the entire universe. You have so much capacity. You know, it's very sad, brothers and sisters, when you look at the state of human beings today, that they live disgraceful lives. They don't focus on their spiritual development. They live and they operate and they function like animals. They eat and they sleep and they play and that's it. We just do it like robots, day in and day out, without thinking that we were created for a higher purpose. The human being is called what? Bani Adam. Allah in the Quran, He refers to you and I as what? The sons, the daughters, the children of Adam. Who was Adam? وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ. Allah commanded Malaika. Jibreel prostrated to Adam. Mikael prostrated to Adam. Israfil prostrated to Adam. Malakul Maut prostrated to Adam. Your father, who is a prophet, Malaika did sujood to him. This is your rank before Allah. He is Allah's official Khalifatullah, but in your own capacity, you also can become Khalifatullah. You can become a representative of God on earth. That you are a mirror of Allah's names. Allah is Rahim, you can also be Rahim. Allah is Kareem, He's generous. You, in your own capacity, be generous. Allah is Al-Haq, He is the truth. Be an upholder of Haq. Allah is Al-Wadud, He's the loving one. Be a loving person. We have to try to become reflections of those names. You know, brothers and sisters, the Holy Prophet ﷺ, he says to Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali, ana wa ant abawa hadhihi al-ummah. That, O Ali, you and I are the fathers of this ummah. We are the spiritual fathers of this ummah. You know, sometimes people say that, you know, when Ali ibn Abi Talib found out about Saqifa, why didn't he go run and chase after the Sahaba and try to convince them? You know, the father does not bring himself down to the level of the children when they're fighting with each other. Right? For the Imam alayhi salam to go chase after this person and say, come, the Imam alayhi salam, as the hadith says, that he's like the Kaaba. We go to him, he doesn't come after us. So on a day like this, a day like this was a very difficult day for Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein. He is our spiritual father, but for Hassan and Hussein, he was their spiritual father and their biological father. When Hassan and Hussein alayhimus salam, when they buried Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen in the outskirts of Kufa, in a land that we call today Najaf, they were carrying the coffin from behind, and the front of it was being carried on its own by the Malaika. And they go and then it stops, and Amir al-Mu'mineen, he gave them instructions that the coffin will stop when it reaches its destination. They found an area and the grave was already dug. It was already there, a hole in the ground, and they saw an inscription that this grave was dug by Nuh for the wasi of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they buried him there. That's why in the ziyarah we send salam to the Imam, وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَىٰ ضَجِيعَيْكَ آدَمَ وَنُوحٍ, that close to Amir al-Mu'mineen is the grave of Adam and Nuh. They bury him and then they leave. Can you imagine how difficult that is? You know, when you bury your loved ones, it's hard to believe that that's it. We have to go back now? That we just leave? It was very difficult for Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein to leave the burial site of Amir al-Mu'mineen. that there is no man who ever walked the earth that resembled Rasulullah more than this man. I could imagine that Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, they felt that they were burying Rasulullah again. That burying Ali ibn Abi Talib, it's like burying the Prophet again. And with heavy hearts, they were walking back. They were walking back through the alleyways. And they heard a man groaning and crying. They went and they saw that it was a man who had a disability. He was sitting in the alleys and he was sobbing. He was crying bitterly. And the Imam saw that he's blind, that he's disabled. He's sitting here by himself, crying, weeping. They say to the man that, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Where's your family? What are you doing here? The man said to them that it's been 3 days and my friend has not come to me. They said, who is your friend? He said that I'm a blind man. I don't have a family. I don't have anyone to take care of me. But for many years, there was this man who used to come. And he would sit with me. And he would keep me company. He would talk to me. I always felt lonely, but when he came, I felt joyful. And he used to sit with me and he used to put food in my mouth. And I'm wondering what happened to him. Because it's been 3 days and I haven't heard from him and I haven't seen him. Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein, they began to cry and they said to him that we send our condolences to you because this man is our father, Ali ibn Abi Talib. And we just came back from his burial. The man, brothers and sisters, when he heard that Ali ibn Abi Talib died, he cried until he died himself. Amir al-Mu'mineen was a source of comfort for people. Even on the day of Ashura, and I'll conclude with this, even on the day of Ashura, when they set the tents on fire, Muhammad ibn Muslim, who was one of the correspondents on that day, he said when Umar ibn Sa'd gave the order to set the tents on fire, I saw children running from one tent to another, but there was one young girl that caught my eye. I saw a young girl run out of the tent and her dress was caught on fire. And she was running and she was so scared that I came to her and I tried to extinguish the fire from her dress, and she was so terrified when she saw me. And she said to me, Ya Am, hal qara'ta al-Quran? Have you ever read the Quran? I said, yes, I've read the Quran. She said, have you read when Allah says, فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ? Have you read the word of Allah where He says, do not hurt the orphans, do not reproach the orphan? He said, yes. He said, who are you? قالت أنا يتيمة أبي عبد الله, that I am the orphan of Hussein. She says, I need your help. He says, what can I do? She says, I want you to take me to Najaf. He says, why? Najaf is so far. She says, أخبرتني عمتي زينب أن لنا قبرا في الغريق قبر جدنا أمير المؤمنين. My aunt Zainab told me that I have a grandfather who's buried in Najaf, the commander of the faithful.
ما أتاه مغموم ولا مكروب ولا طالب حاجة إلا قضى الله حاجته. She told me that if there's anyone who has a haja, if there's anyone who's grief-stricken, if there is anyone who is in sorrow, they can go and complain to him, and I want to go and complain to Ali. He says to her that I cannot take you to Najaf, it is too far. Can I take you anywhere else? She says to him, Ya am khudni ila shatt al-Furat. Take me to the Euphrates River. He said to himself that I thought maybe she's thirsty, so I escorted her in the direction of the Euphrates, and then suddenly I saw this young girl starting to run. She started to run, but she did not go to the Euphrates River. Where did she go? He said she threw herself on a body without any arms. She cried out, Ya Am, Ya Abbas, قم وانظر ماذا صنعوا بنا.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to guide us and to bless us and to illuminate our hearts with the teachings of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to accept these tears that we shed for the family of the Prophet, to make these tears make our scales weighty on the Day of Judgment. And most importantly, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to honor us with the shafa'ah, the intercession of Amir al-Mu'mineen on the Day of Judgment. يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ وَآخِرُ دَعْوَانَا أَنِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.